Hey y'all, today I'm inside trying to stay out of the triple digit temps. And so I'm going to be working on a hand-tied bouquet in one of my vintage salt glaze vases. I'm very excited. Actually, it's a pitcher, salt glaze pitcher. As always, make sure you hit that subscribe button and that notification bell so you know when my latest videos are up. And make sure you drop me a comment below. What are the high temps of the summer in your area? We have already hit 106 and we are looking at 108 in the next week. Okay, we're going to be working with a wide variety of flowers today. Let me show you what we're going to work in first. So this is the pitcher that we're going to be using. It's a salt glaze pitcher. It kind of has a light blue. It has a bow detail in here. It's a vintage piece, kind of a little beat up, but I love it. We're going to be working with a wide variety of flowers. This is basil, purple ruffles. Actually, this doesn't look like purple ruffles basil. It looks more like Thai basil. This one is Thai basil, I believe, and I believe this one is getting into the purple ruffles basil right here. I've also got some winged everlasting, which I've really been enjoying, a new bloom I grew this year. Have a few straw flowers in here. This one I believe is straw flower yellow. This one is straw flower red, and this one is straw flower red purple. Very pretty. I have these roses right here. These are called America. This is a new to me this year rose, looking really pretty, kind of a corally tone. These are hot biscuits, amaranthus, which are really pretty. Go back over here. We're also going to be working with some limelight hydrangeas, as you can see, super fluffy and pretty. Gomphrena, this is purple gomphrena. I have some zinnias, some purple prince zinnias over here. Some really fun explosion grass, which I'm really excited to be working with. Some celosia. These have really tiny blooms, but it's really picking them more for all this beautiful lush greenery to utilize with them. I had also trimmed off some crepe myrtle branches, but they just really haven't, done anything. They're kind of bleh, so I won't be utilizing them in the design today. But I'm going to build everything in my hand and then tie it off and place it in my pitcher. So let's get started. Okay, I'm going to start by laying out my blooms and prepping them, making sure that they have no greenery on the bottom of them. I'm going to start by laying all those out in little groups. Like I want to go ahead and pull off these leaves of my limelight hydrangeas. This time of year, my limelight hydrangeas get a kind of rust fungus pretty bad, and they tend to drop all their leaves and grow them all back after that. And this will be my fourth year with them, maybe fourth year, maybe third year. Happens every year. I've tried treating, doesn't make a difference. So I just let it happen, and let the plant evolve, and it works out. Okay, so I'm going to start by building in my hand. I'm right-handed, so I'm going to build in my left hand because then it's easier for me to work. This is going to be a pretty large, full bouquet. I'm really trying to go for something kind of wow. I'm going to start with just some of this like gorgeous basil, kind of working this in, and then I'm going to start with something like a larger bloom, like a hydrangea. And it's kind of more like of a big structure design in there, right? It has way more emphasis than something like a gomphrena. So I'm starting with a couple of the larger blooms. So I'm working. And I'm just gonna keep kind of working things in, picking up some of these larger hydrangeas. Maybe having some a little bit more up. Yeah, that's a pretty start. This is also a pretty strong greenery right here, this celosia. Remember, I actually selected it for the greenery as opposed to necessarily the flower because the bloom is actually really small right now. So I'm going to start working this around, and I'm just turning the design in my hand as I'm working. You can see like a big hole right there, so I'm just going to put some celosia there. I'm going to go ahead and work in something like this, a really large bloom right here. Now this is hot biscuits amaranthus, and I can actually break off some of the lower flowers to make it a little bit of a smaller flower. Let's do that. And you definitely don't want to wait till the end on some of these really large blooms, because then you have this like massive bloom just sticking out the side of a design as opposed to like working it into the design, right? All right, let's work in. I'll make this hydrangea come up a little bit. Oh, this is gonna be so pretty. If you haven't worked with basil as a greenery in your floral designs, you are missing out. It's lovely to work in with. It smells absolutely amazing. I'm sure you're not surprised at all. And it's just easy to work with. You can grow basil in a lot of different colors and textures and such. Actually, I'm gonna hold on to one of those hydrangeas till a little bit later. Go ahead and work in something like this guy. I mean, this is a big bouquet. This is a big mama bouquet. Okay, so let's start playing with some other blooms. I'm gonna start playing with some of this gomphrena. It's always a little awkward to play with because the stem tends to be like one straight stem and with these like three kind of crazy awkward stems coming off of it. So I'm gonna kind of just like work it into the design. This will add a lot of beautiful texture. You can see it really kind of adds a pop in there. I always find that gomphrena gets really tangled up when I'm working with it, so when it's in like a vase and I'm pulling it out of a bucket or something to work with. Remember to keep rotating your bouquet as you're working. I'm choosing the larger gomphrena pieces, working those towards the center because they have a longer stem that'll come down through the bouquet and be able to reach the water. I can tell you this is a tough bouquet to do as a hand tied because you have to have a lot of hand strength on this. But you can definitely go smaller scale. You don't have to go this large. Remember, taller stems of the gomphrena towards the center. You can kind of poke them down through the design. You can see I've got it pretty well spread out, so over here feels a little empty. Let's see. If your hand starts getting really tired, you can go ahead and tie this off, right? Tie it off with, some twine or some floral tape and put it down and take a rest. And then come back to it at a later point. Okay, let me put some of this gomphrena to the side. Okay, let's start working with some more focal blooms. So I have some major focal blooms such as the roses, right? So I want to make sure that they're the areas that work. If you stick a focal bloom down here, you're not really going to see it. But if you work it up towards the middle, you can see how I have this cluster of hydrangeas right there. So if I come in there and I place that rose there, it really stands out. And put in a little bit of basil to kind of fill out that space, right? I'm going to rotate it because I don't have very much of the America roses. It's a tough time of season for my roses right now. So I don't have as much, so I'm going to rotate it and find another location for an America rose. And work it once again into a focal point. This smaller one has a short stem, so can't really work it into a focal point as much. All right, let's put in some of these zinnias. rotate it. Always rotating your bouquet so you can see what's going on in different places from different angles. Working in some of my focal points. That guy doesn't want to lay pretty. Okay, at this point my hand's getting really tired. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you how to go ahead and tie it off, but then keep working with it. Okay, so you can use floral tape, twine, string, ribbon, whatever you want. Start with the length of the twine, tail hanging out. I'm going to go around my bouquet with this size at least 3 times. All right, I'm going to go ahead and cut it. Pull it firm. I'm not pulling it super tight, but I am pulling it firm. We don't want to break the stems with the twine. Okay. All right. Whew. It's hard to do larger designs, hand-tied designs. All right, now this also gives me a chance to kind of move things around because remember, I didn't tie it super tight, right? So there's still a lot of give in the bouquet. All right, I feel like I've got like a hole right there in that space right there. So I'm definitely gonna come back with a hydrangea. You can see that big negative space up there. And what you can do is just kind of naturally kind of just weave these in. All right, see how that fills in that hole a little bit? And now look at the way the gomphrena bounces against that limey color. Really pretty. Okay, I think this guy is a little too, well, I say he's a little too long. However, can try, let me look at this side. I can try to work him up into the design a little bit so I can work him through the middle, so I can come right through the top. And this is a little bit harder because this is a bigger stem. So a lot of times you can poke it through and then reach underneath, grab the stem. See, I turn the bouquet upside down to kind of pull. All right, and there I've worked it into the center of the design, like that. I think that looks good. I feel like the amaranthus is really unexpected, something a little bit different. Now, I don't think I'm gonna go for my winged everlasting. I think they're too small and they don't have enough like wow factor in there because this is a big bouquet. But I do wanna utilize some of this super fun explosion grass. I've been so excited to work with it. And I really want it to come out of the design, right? Like I don't want to pull it in really tight. I want to be able to see it. So I'm going to tuck it in a few places around the bouquet. I'm literally just looking for a place that I feel like needs a little bit of interest. And this one's really easy to thread through the design because the stems are so thin. It's fun to try a big mama bouquet every once in a while. They're hard, don't get me wrong. I mean, this is not a super easy one. All right, at this point, I'm still rotating the bouquet. I'm looking for weird spaces like this hole right here, and then I'm tucking in greenery in those locations so that it doesn't look odd. Turn the bouquet, that feels weird right there. So work in a big, beautiful piece of greenery. Okay, now I do have some gomphrena left over, but I'm not gonna stress about it. Gomphrena is a really great flower for drying, so I don't feel bad that I cut it. So is the wing everlasting. And I'm gonna do the same technique again. I'm gonna leave myself a tail right there. I'm gonna go around my bouquet 3 times. Oh, but try not to get stuck on anything. There we go. 1. 2. And this is gonna hold all those additional stems that I put in there, if you guys remember. There. Cut it off. And I'm gonna tie a knot. Okay. Oh, okay. So let me grab the Lazy Susan. Our Lazy Susan right here. I've got my pitcher. Did not pick it up by the handle. It is vintage antique. And it's filled with water, and I don't want to put that much pressure on it. All right, so I'm gonna come in with my clippers and trim off. I know that this is a taller pitcher, so I'm not really stressed about the length of the stems being too long. I'm gonna trim off a couple of these longer. There you go. All right. Let's put this into the pitcher and see where we're gonna end up with this. Okay. All right, this guy's a big guy, so I'm gonna sit on the chair and turn him so I can look and make adjustments. So you can put it on Lazy Susan, whatever works for you. Make sure to remember these focal point flowers, like the roses. You can give them kind of a gentle tug and pull them up more if you want. Okay, this is so pretty. Okay, I feel like I have like a weird hole right there. You guys see that? So I'm gonna pull up my amaranthus, and I'm actually gonna get down here on the stem and give it a little push. Push it in a little bit further, and then I'm gonna pull up another flower. See, I'm pulling them back, pulling them up towards the middle, and then giving the stem a little push to push it further down into the arrangement. And that kind of helps fill in that hole some. You can also always, if you want, still at this point, you can still put like something in there. So I could find like this piece of gomphrena, and I can still try to work it down into the design and then hopefully get into the water. And kind of fill that hole. And then something like a gomphrena, it has a very strong stem. So it can take some weight. So I can come in here with it, and I can almost use it to kind of like prop up this celosia towards the center. Wow. I feel like I want to rotate the whole design like this. Yep. All right, what do y'all think? I love it. I think it looks really, really good. Hope you guys enjoyed today's tutorial. I hope you guys are still enjoying me talking through these designs and what my thought process is as I'm creating them. As always, she's a mad gardener or decorator or anything else that she wants to be. Thanks, y'all.